All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're gathering here at Kean University's Green Lane Academic Building to discuss a serious subject, but with an inspiring message. So I'm excited to be together with our students today and turn the program over to our president, Dr. Dawood Farahi.
Thank you, Liz. Again, want to welcome you to Kean University and good afternoon. We're at the Green Lane Conference Center, and you can see the capabilities that this center provides. You will hear people from Washington, D.C., and even from Congo. So the reason we're here is to show you what our students and what this university does to reach globally, to touch the lives of many people whose faces we may never see and whose names we may never know. But yet, we still do things that will have a global impact. The focus of this university is on three things: academic excellence, a sense of giving, a sense of generosity, a sense of involvement, which we do through our Center for Holocaust Resource Center, through our Human Rights Institute, and also the global reach of this university and our students. What you will see today is all these three pieces come together. Our program and the Robert Bush School of Design under Dr. Robert Lander, and our students in that program got together with our senior fellow, the Ann Evans Estabrook Senior Fellow, Human Rights, John Pendergast, to come up with an idea to educate the rest of the world about what's going on in Congo. We also have some members of our Human Rights Club, and their work on helping, for instance, they did an amazing job for Darfur. They have done other fundraising events all over this state and sometimes across the globe. This is what we do. This is what our students do. And when John Pendergast was here, he came to one of the classes at Robin's particular course and saw the creativity, the amazing capability of our students to connect not only with their own generation, but with all generations. And they created a campaign that you will see today that make me in this university so proud. So I don't want to take more of their time, but I want you to see them. I want you to see them, how creative, how innovative, and how entrepreneurial they are. I want you to feel how they feel. I want you to see not only they took an idea, but made it much bigger, much greater, and much more appealing than I ever even imagined. So John Pendergast is the first one to speak. John, welcome again on the video to Kean University. John, it's all yours.
Kean University has a Human Rights Institute whose mission is to educate and motivate students to get involved in the community, get involved in this world to make a difference. We hear about problems in the world, and we largely remain bystanders to those. The sidelines, you move from being a bystander to an upstander. You stand up in defense of people's human rights and human dignity. So it's really studying and understanding and then acting. And I think that's the core of what the Human Rights Institute is all about. I'm very, very excited to be connected to Kean University because the idea that there is a Human Rights Institute at the university focused specifically on how to defend and promote human rights is terribly important to me. So I want to be affiliated with that, build it, and help the students and the faculty here make a big difference. You're here at Kean University learning the things that you want to learn, but you're also learning how to make an impact in the world.
Thank you, Dr. Farahi. We're here today to talk about an initiative that really engaged in a major way for the first time. The partnership that was a vision of Dr. Farahi's and John Prendergast's after John was our keynote speaker for our annual Human Rights Conference. John now spends 1 week in residency each semester here at Kean and then consults with us in between whenever we need him. He's very generous of his time and expertise with us, and I'm sure Dr. Farahi is very proud to hear how generous Professor Landa and her students have been in return. And to talk about what has occurred since John's visit a few weeks ago, we're first going to turn to, we have Greg with us, right?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Great. Greg Hittleman is Director of Communications at the Enough Project, responsible for leading all media relations and communications programs for the organization. A multidisciplinary strategist and consultant with expertise in communications, media, relations, advocacy, project management, marketing, events, and alliance building. Greg is also a documentary filmmaker, a gifted writer, and a contributor for The Atlantic. Greg, do you want to start educating us about the Congo Gold Initiative that you worked with our students on?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for that kind introduction, and also Dr. Farahi again for that very generous welcome. I think I'll start with the need that this came out of. So in Eastern Congo, there has been a devastating armed conflict that has left 5.4 million people dead. Atrocities, including widespread rape, the abduction of children to become child soldiers, torture, and many other really terrible things have been going on, largely perpetrated by violent armed groups. Those groups, in many cases, get their financing from the mining trade in Eastern Congo primarily. Congo is the home to a vast natural resources treasure, and many of the mines in the past and currently have been taken over by armed groups who extort miners, smuggle the minerals out, and profit in many cases in the millions of dollars, allowing them to continue their crimes and violence. The Enough Project and a global coalition, as well as many local organizations in Congo, have been working together for quite some time to look at the different drivers that are continuing the conflict there. And one of them is this issue of conflict minerals. Minerals that in some cases wind up in some of our most common consumer products, from laptops to iPads, to automobiles, to jewelry. Those often travel through opaque, hidden supply chains. And so what we've been doing is trying to get companies, as part of a broader effort, get companies to pay attention and shine a light on their own supply chains and take responsibility for their intentional or unintentional complicity in the armed conflict of Congo. In the past, we've done consumer electronics rankings, where we actually evaluated and judged some of the top brands and companies in the consumer electronics industry and identified who were the leaders in trying to make their products conflict-free, and we've had some significant successes in that area. Unfortunately, gold smuggled, illegally mined and smuggled out of Congo continues to be a major funder and financer of armed groups in Congo. So what we've been working on very intensively, especially in the last year, has been an effort to involve the gold jewelry industry, which is the largest end user of gold in the world, in the same way that we engaged with the consumer electronics industry, to work towards supporting peace in Congo and supporting what we hope eventually will become an increasingly conflict-free trade in gold coming out of Congo. So what we wanted to do was to create a campaign that highlighted those companies that were taking a leadership role in the jewelry industry. The big superseller retailers that could really make an impact on the supply chains, reaching back to the gold refiners and all the way to the ground to see if they could contribute to peace and sustainability in a conflict-free mining sector in Congo, and to grow that conflict-free sector. We decided on a campaign that would focus on a broad sort of positive message that was not a name and shame message, but was one that was encouraging companies to get involved and to follow compliance rules that are currently in place, like the Dodd-Frank law on conflict minerals that requires companies to report on their supply chains, whether or not they're potentially contain conflict minerals. We wanted to have a campaign that spoke to the feeling and spirit of the jewelry world and to jewelry consumers. So we wanted our campaign to look and feel as if it were a jewelry campaign, to have that elegance and beauty and chic kind of messaging that could celebrate the positive efforts of some of these companies. So when we were put together with Robin Landa's, I have to say, brilliant designers. We've been calling them our all-stars, although Dr. Farahi insists that they're his all-stars. We'll have to compete over that. But whoever owns them, we all share in appreciating their talent. We presented this concept to them. We worked with them for about, I'd say, 6 weeks on a very intense design schedule. And in my past, I've worked with major design firms on corporate campaigns, nonprofit advocacy campaigns, and advertising agencies. I have to say that this team was as good as any team I've worked with in terms of their ability to understand what we wanted to do and to create a visual representation of our campaign that would be positive, celebratory, and feel like a jewelry ad. They delivered a whole range of interesting ideas. We eventually drilled down, selected one to focus on, and that graphic image is now the centerpiece to our campaign, which plays on the two meanings of the word engagement. One that obviously relates to the jewelry industry, getting engaged in that sense, but also getting engaged in the sense of getting engaged in supporting peace in Congo. So our campaign, Look Who's Getting Engaged, announced just 2 weeks ago, I guess it was, that Tiffany & Company and Signet Jewelers, which represents Kay Jewelers, Jared, and Zales Jewelers, two of the biggest companies and most influential companies in the jewelry industry, were our celebrated leaders. And we created a campaign that showed those two companies as taking a leadership role in getting engaged. And I'm sure you'll have an opportunity to look at that image that the Kean team created. But it is concise, it is elegant, it is shareable, it's memorable, and it's nothing less than highly impactful. So we're extremely grateful for that contribution.
Thank you, Greg.
So now,
go ahead.
Oh, so did you want me to introduce my colleagues briefly?
Yeah, I was thinking before we move on to hear from the students and Professor Landa about their process and unveil to the folks in this room the design that you all came up with together with them, why don't you introduce your advocacy team there and your colleague in the field, and we can show you a brief video on the issue that inspired their great work.
Perfect. So to my left is Annie Calloway, who is an advocacy associate for the Enough Project. She focuses on coordinating our conflict-free campus initiative, which is part of our Raise Hope for Congo campaign. Prior to joining the Enough Project, Annie worked for Global Witness. She was a Northeast campus organizer for our conflict-free campus initiative when she was still in school. In the fall of 2011, she traveled to northern Uganda, where she spent 4 months living with a family, traveling around the country and the region, and conducting research on post-conflict transformation in some of those areas. She's a former Enough Project intern. She graduated from Tufts University with a bachelor's degree in anthropology and peace and justice studies. To my right is Rachel Finn, Enough Project's advocacy manager. Rachel served previously as a research associate at the International Center for Conciliation and was a Tony Blair Faith Foundation Faiths Act Fellow at the San Francisco Interfaith Council, where she mobilized communities around the United Nations Millennium Development Goals in interfaith settings. She focused on a malaria-based community health project in Sierra Leone, and she leads a lot of our advocacy efforts here at the Enough Project. She holds a bachelor's degree in international relations, also from Tufts University, where she studied international security, religion, and worked on the campus-wide genocide education program. From Congo, and I don't know whether or not we'll actually be able to hear from him. I think there may have been some technical difficulties in the video feed. But we have Fidel Bafilemba, who is based in Goma in Congo and is one of our most important field researchers at the Enough Project, focusing on Congo conflict minerals and conflict issues in Congo. He has a long history of working in human rights and education. Previously, he's worked on emergency programs and implementation in the field to provide aid to Congolese citizens in war-torn parts of Eastern Congo. He's been a teacher. He's a leader of different very important organizations, educating Congolese people about democracy, and speaks 13 languages, including English and French. Has worked in various capacities for publications, including the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, ABC News, CNN, Time Magazine, Associated Press, BBC, TV, Reuters, and others. So hopefully Fidel, he's also the author and co-author of some of our important research work and opinion pieces and policy briefs. So Fidel, welcome if you're here.
Yes, I am.
Great. Fantastic. And then, with no further ado, I think I'll introduce a video with our founding director, John Prendergast, discussing the problem in a little bit more detail, the problem of conflict minerals, conflict gold specifically, which is currently now the biggest driver of and funder of conflict among the minerals in Congo. This video, I just have to let you know, was produced a few years ago, but I think it's relevant, really as relevant today as it was then in many ways. So we can roll the video.
Thanks.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is a gold mine, literally. At least $600 million worth of gold is smuggled out of Congo each year. So Congo's a rich country, right? Wrong. It's the least developed country on Earth with the lowest per capita income in the world. Here's the problem. Congo is a gold mine for armed groups and corrupt government officials, not the Congolese people. The three T's, tin, tantalum, and tungsten, along with gold, are fueling war in the Congo. We've made a lot of progress on getting conflict minerals out of our cell phones and laptops. But gold from Congo has another destination besides our phones. It also ends up in jewelry. Of all Congo's minerals, gold is easiest to smuggle. It's the most lucrative. Gold lines the pockets of corrupt officials, warlords, and armed groups who kill and use rape as a weapon of war to control the trade. They're perpetrating the deadliest violence in the world since World War II. Cleaning up Congo's gold sector is key to stopping the violence. We can actually help do this. But first, we need to understand how gold makes its way from the mine to that ring on your finger. At the gold mines in eastern Congo, miners extract gold by hand under awful conditions. Nearly half of the miners are children. Smugglers, backed by armed groups, as well as the governments of Congo, Uganda, and Burundi, control the trade. They transport the gold to regional smuggling hubs. From there, it's off to Dubai. Smugglers sell conflict gold to dealers there, who make cheap jewelry to sell at markets or sell it to refiners. Top international jewelers buy the refined gold, turning it into products that can end up on the shelves of jewelry stores in the US and abroad. To help end war in Congo, we have to clean up this process. You, the consumer, can help create a demand for conflict-free gold from Congo. Pressure on the top jewelry companies to invest in conflict-free mines in eastern Congo would create real change on the ground. The war economy would move toward a peaceful trade. We need jewelry companies to step up and become part of the solution. However, this is only one part of the answer. A comprehensive peace process is vital. The governments of Rwanda and Uganda must stop supporting armed groups that destabilize the region. In the race to profit from gold, regional governments and armed groups have created mafia smuggling networks that fuel conflict. We must address this deadly trade. If we start at the source, we can clean it up. The Congolese people deserve it. And when you buy gold jewelry, you deserve to know where it's coming from.
Thanks, Greg. That was really helpful. While you guys in our Washington, D.C. connection sit tight for just a minute, and before I introduce the All-Stars and Professor Landa, Fidel, are we still connected with you? I know it's tough in your area because there's no landlines and the internet connection is not so great.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Great. So just briefly before we move on to hear the students' stories, do you want to tell us in a sentence or two about the impact the campaign has where you are in Congo?
Well, I think this is still a long ways to come to be seen on the ground because we just started. But I think it's raising a lot of hopes. As we have seen the positive and immediate impacts that the campaign has had on the cities. So I have no doubt that it's going to be likewise, helping curb this mafia business on the ground. So I'm quite keen and eager to see how all this is going to unfold.
Thank you, Fidel. We had the message a bit muffled, but I think the most important message I heard through what you've just said is that the campaign is already raising a lot of hopes. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Thank you. So now for Kean University's pride and treasure, we'll move on to Professor Landa from the Robert Bush School of Design. Robin Landa holds the title of Distinguished Professor at Kean University's School of Design. An inspiring educator and prolific author, Landa has written more than 20 books on design, creativity, advertising, branding, and drawing, many of which have been adopted by universities worldwide as a basis for their curricula. Professor Landa.
Thank you. 8 weeks ago, John Prendergast visited my promotional design class and asked my students to create an informational and promotional campaign that would be used by student rights groups, student groups working for human rights across the country. My students' design solutions exceeded John's expectations. Therefore, John and Greg asked my students to work on several other projects, including the conflict-free Congo Gold project that you're going to see today. So I'd like to introduce my student team. who created the design solutions, and asked them to tell you about their experience. And I'll tell you a little bit about them first. Ria Venturina is an interactive advertising major about to graduate who loves to draw. She draws every day. She loves to be with family and friends and is leaning towards a career in advertising. Max Friedman is a graphic design major and a published author and illustrator of 3 books that he illustrated and co-authored with Professor Rose Ganella of the Robert Bush School of Design, and he designed the cover of my next book. Tiffany Louie is a graphic design major who's about to graduate in 2 weeks. She's happy when she's designing or snowboarding and loves to find new places to dine. Nicole Trusa is an interactive advertising major, also about to graduate in 2 weeks, and hopes to land a job in a top advertising agency so she can continue to creatively collaborate as she does here. And Maria Finelli is a graphic design major. She appreciates good food, good music, and good design, and she is an ardent runner and hopes to work in a socially conscious agency environment. Maria.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Robin, for that great introduction. I guess it first started with Greg Hittleman asking us to create an ad based upon the tagline, "Look who's getting engaged." And I guess their bigger problem was, how do we visually represent that without having it too, I guess, cliche? So they had the hook, but didn't know how to do so. So first, we had to create a campaign, I guess, that could be universally used, whereas if I wanted to join the engagement, we can show that proudly. If Max wanted to show an engagement, we could show that as well, a celebrity or different jeweler companies. So what we came up with were different print ads that you see on the screen, as well as what it would look like on the Facebook as well. So I guess Greg Hittleman loved it so much because 2 days later, Greg calls again with another task. Same campaign, but different assignment. And it was more about celebration. Celebrating the fact that jewelry companies are going to be behind this awesome campaign and this awesome movement, which was also troublesome because one of the things that we had to be mindful of is to create something so that companies aren't fighting for who's better. So we didn't want to make it so that Signet was better than Tiffany & Co. or vice versa. So all we wanted to do was to celebrate their achievement and their engagement. And 2 weeks later, we're here.
So going forward with the project, we had to figure out a way of showcasing each company without showing hierarchy. After much brainstorming with the group, we decided to just have each company in a line. That way, as more companies are added on, they can just be added onto the line without showing which companies are first or second. So after we figured that out, we had to find ways to symbolize engagement. So we thought of the obvious, which are rings and ring boxes, but then we started thinking more of how we can showcase this. So we started thinking about pictures or having pictures of the ring or someone getting engaged. We have rope and ribbon, which are tied in knots, which are symbolizing tying the knot, which is also associated with getting engaged or marriage. And we also have balloons, which having the names in the balloons are showcasing celebration, but not only on getting engaged, but also getting engaged with what's going on and becoming more aware of what's going on in Congo. After many revisions and going back and forth with Greg and his team, they suggested that we should showcase gold nuggets within ring boxes that are open, showing which companies are already engaged with the project, as well as closed boxes, which show the upcoming companies or who is going to be engaged next. So it's kind of a mysterious feel to it. Ultimately, though, they decided to go with their final design that is straight to the point and just shows the name in the open boxes as well as closed boxes.
So in life, we often find ourselves working together with other people and collaborating towards common goals, regardless of your career field or what your focus is in. And around 50% of our days are spent, working with other people who we know or may not know. And it's especially imperative in design, where collaboration and teamwork is one of the key components to your success, and it could make or break your career, essentially. So in our School of Design, that's why we focus from the early stages of the program. One of our strong emphasis is on collaboration and teamwork and being able to work with other people towards a common goal. Unlike other design schools, where becoming the best is best for you and competition is highly encouraged, we focus strictly on succeeding as a whole, as a unit, and as a family, and where one person succeeds, we all succeed. And it's incredible to see that in this new facility that we've built here, the difference between sitting in 4 stone walls and trying to sketch doodles in your notebook compared to entering this open environment where that profoundly resembles a professional space that you would find in the city or any top design agency. And it can tremendously affect your emotion, your state of mind, everything. Whereas in this case, when we were first starting the project, where we had never worked together as a team, this was the first time that we in particular worked together, you see one person has an idea. 5 minutes later, everyone in the class and all of us have ideas, and everyone is enthusiastically bouncing things off of each other. And sooner or later, when you take a step back, you find yourself engulfed in this mass of inspiration that makes not only you believe that you can do anything you want and anything in life, but it makes you want to bring everyone around you up together and succeed with you. And I think that that's more than you can really learn in any classroom is through teamwork and collaboration, is hoping for a better tomorrow, not only for yourself, but for everyone that you're collaborating and working with.
And first, I just want to say for our entire team how truly grateful we are to be able to gain this professional experience. And it's been truly special because unlike any project that we work on in class, this was real life. And we got to work with a professional client who presented us with a brief that it was our responsibility to follow. And we were able to, most importantly, apply all of the knowledge and the tools that we've learned in school so far towards making a difference and raising awareness about something that really deserves to be highlighted. And that's why this experience so far has been truly valuable to all of us. And it's because of the Robert Bush School of Design's and Kean University's close connections with the outside professional world and design agencies and different industries that this has all been able to be possible. And the design department is constantly presenting us and every student in the program with a list of opportunities for us to network and grow as young professional designers. And as a senior, I can say that I've had many experiences and have made a list of connections, and it's all because of this design program. And I think we've all had our fair share of professional experiences, and I truly believe that it's because of those experiences that we were able to come together so successfully and feel comfortable working with one another to create something that has turned into what it has. And it's also because of these professional experiences that I believe that we all feel confident that we have the tools that we need to be successful designers in our profession.
So in addition to these projects and this campaign, I also had the awesome opportunity of creating an infographic for the Enough project. I'm currently working on it, and it depicts the devastation taking place in Sudan and the effects on its population. There are still changes being made, but we're hoping to have it finalized very soon. As with every creative brief, research was a crucial part of our process, and I found myself really getting really emotionally invested in the cause. It helped me realize that I ultimately want to work for a socially conscious creative agency that's aware of the consequences that can accompany certain products and services. Design has an immense ability to change behavior, and we should be channeling that kind of power for the greater good.
Thank you. Before we move on to the last segment that we're going to unveil about Kean students getting engaged, I want to share with our students a text I just got from our provost, Dr. Tony. He said that he is on a train on his way to Washington, D.C., the Enough Project team's neck of the woods, for an important meeting with our creditors. But in the process, he says, I'm watching the press conference on my phone using Ustream. So proud of our students. Hashtag Kean proud. So, the design students obviously are amazing, and they are so amazing that the first people they've inspired is their classmates and colleagues in the Human Rights Club. And the Human Rights Club is supported by our Human Rights Institute, with which John is associated. They've done some great projects in the past, and their next initiative is going to be to get the word out about this campaign. I'll turn it over to Janine Rivera, a graduate student at Kean and a member of the Human Rights Club, to tell you about that.
Thank you, Felice. Thanks. The message that the Human Rights Club likes to present is we want everyone to reevaluate humanity, and becoming engaged and active citizens of the world is crucial to becoming an upstander, as John would like us to be. A few weeks ago, the Human Rights Club met with Mr. Pendergast, and he was able to talk to us about having some form of campus-wide initiative to bring awareness to the Congo and conflict-free minerals. And so with the wonderful design team and finding out about what they did, Max mentioned family and collaboration. So the Human Rights Club wants to collaborate with our family, our Kean family, and bring awareness to the campaign and what the jewelry companies are doing by bringing out our laptops and our iPads and getting students in the community to sign the petition about this conflict-free initiative.
Thank you, Janine. And I just want to point out that we have the vice president of the club over here. You want to introduce your colleague?
This is Josh. He's our VP, and he's awesome.
You ready to get started, Josh? Yes, definitely. Great. So then if no one else has something to add right now before we turn to questions? See, are there any members of the media or guests in the room that would like to ask any questions of the team around the table or our team in Washington, D.C. or in the Congo? Sure. Just say who you are first.
Justine Henderson.
Oh, excuse me, Justine, can you talk into, turn your mic on so that the folks around the world can hear you?
I'm Justine Henderson. I'm Kean University Social Media. I have a question for the Kean students. The word team and the idea of collaboration has come up a lot. Could you each just tell me a little bit about how working as a team, what it means to you, and how important it is for projects like this?
Since I talked about this, I guess I'll continue. Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, in a situation where half of us are about to graduate and you have a full list of work from your other classes, you're dealing with life, perhaps work, anything, with a full plate of things to do, and you're presented with an incredible opportunity such as this that doesn't really come very often for students. You have to collaborate and work as a team, because if you try and do it by yourself, it's not going to happen. And you can't get around working together to achieve this common goal. And
Max also highlighted student-to-student teamwork, but it's also professor-to-student teamwork as well that I would like to highlight. We had to be on call with Greg in the morning when I actually had class, and without my professor's support, like Professor Landa, Professor Blazer, as well as Professor Anderson, it was hard for me to do because I couldn't really answer phone calls, but they did understand and they did support us as a team that I had to make those phone calls, I had to make those deadlines. So I was really lucky enough to have them as our team as well, and allowed me to answer phone calls during class, even make some edits while they were talking, which is crazy, but I'm really glad that they are also part of this team as well.
Does anyone else want to add? Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Well, I have to say, having been part of other artistic communities in different schools and just different parts of my town, our creative community definitely differs. We have almost like a reflex to just be sort of first responders to each other. If someone needs help, we're the first ones there. It's not really about succeeding as one. It's as one person, is succeeding as a group of people, as Max mentioned before.
So you're saying Kean's better?
Yes.
Tell Dr. Farahi what that other school was.
Do you want me?
Anyone else?
Just representing the Human Rights Club and the Institute, we pride ourselves on being able to collaborate with organizations locally and globally to, accomplish the goal of making human rights awareness and letting people understand that, they have the power to take home their own humanity and to help their fellow man. And by that, being able to collaborate with family, work together, you can create change. Like a drop in the ripple effect, it's all gonna work out.
Yes, Tanya. There's a microphone right over here.
Hi, I'm Tanya Hall. I work with the Kean University Foundation. I'm also a student here. And one of the things that I loved was the synergy between all of the departments and the class collaboration. And I think that's a great message that we can get out to students who are thinking about coming to Kean University. How can we do that? How can we let them know that if they come here, they're coming to a university that's socially responsible, we're engaged, no pun intended, but we're engaged. How do we get the word out to those students to let them know that they're not only coming here for world-class education, this is an opportunity to be engaged in the world abroad.
Any of the students want to respond?
Internal, thanks. I guess how we can do that is by spreading events like this that you don't really see often, that you might not experience in other schools, that many people really don't have the opportunity to have. And as Nikki was saying earlier, not only with the design department, but with any other department in the school, I mean, we have a tremendous amount of opportunities presented to us, and we're all extremely lucky and grateful to have received those. And I think it's about taking initiative and acting upon those opportunities, and then doing things like this, events like this, where we can spread that knowledge and the word that we are doing these great things as students, and so that it would attract more people to come here because they would like to take part in those opportunities that other schools and other students might not receive anywhere else.
I'll add to that. Going back to what I said earlier, this school has incredible connections, and I think that we need to utilize them. And we're so close to the city. We've established great connections with everybody, and if we continue to do more projects that involve our outside resources, I think that's a great point that Kean has, and will bring more students here and make them interested in coming to this school over any other school.
I just want to, after I heard how you did it and where you went, maybe these guys should be my marketing team, Marcia. I mean, they seem to get it done. A lot of the opportunities that are here that you don't find in many other institutions is based on the basic premise that an educated person has another obligation in addition to that to himself or herself. That is to make the world better, to make their place of work better. And a lot of people you hear these days, they say, oh, the new generation, they don't give a darn about anybody else except themselves. They don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do this. You've heard that many, many times, especially on the media. The image that they project of the young generation is a self-centered group of people that is focused to get the most for themselves. Here you can see that that's not the case. Look at Janine and Josh. They're dedicated a tremendous amount of their time and energy to work with our Human Rights Institute, and many of you have been there and seen the kind of things that we do there. Our Holocaust Resource Center that is doing some amazing stuff to bring attention to some of the most horrid acts of inhumanity by humans in history. And then you guys, to put your time and energy and your talent together to tell the world, don't buy that gold unless, don't buy that gold unless, don't get engaged with that ring because it came from that bad place. How you put all of these things together makes my life amazingly rewarding. I mean, I get beat up every now and then, as you guys know. But sitting here and looking at you and saying to myself, one of these days, I'm going to see these guys on TV, and I say, yeah, that's one of my kids. And that's what makes it possible for us to do. And the room you're sitting in, the technology that is here, not only to reach the world, but reach one other corner that we already have dominated to a certain extent. The Robert Bush School of Design will be in China in less than 2 years. We're already taking students into that program. And you are going to do things in China and make 1.4 billion people aware of things that they never thought there was a way of doing it. And that radical media mentality of you five in here, it's like how you put all these pieces together makes my job the most rewarding enterprise anybody could possibly imagine. So thank you. And thank you for Project Enough to give us, our kids, an opportunity to show how great they could be. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I think we'll conclude there. We want to take one more question?
Yeah, Tom Bogert with the Cougars Bite. Dr. Farahi was talking about the time commitment, and you'll have a lot of students complaining about their exams and papers. How did you guys balance all your time and along with the papers and the exams coming up?
Going back to what Max said before, I mean, we couldn't have done it alone. We needed each other. There was multiple times where, I mean, one time I was at the mall and I'm on the phone with Tiffany, like, we need to do this, we need to get it done now. And, like, we just had each other's back throughout the whole thing. If one of us needed something, we were always on call for each other. And I think that's what made it go so smoothly, and we could just completely rely on each other.
Yeah, I mean, we had a group text going the entire time, so we were always sort of in contact with each other. And it was like, if someone was at work, it was like, someone else, can you change this color? Can you do this? Can you make this file? I mean, we were always sort of in that loop, so.
I was the messenger for Greg and the team. And I felt like it was hard, but because of the support of my team members, it was easy in that way. And like what Nikki was saying, there was once where we actually had to get this done, but I had to go to work. But I called them and they got the things edited that needed to be sent to Greg. So time management definitely did help a lot, but also the support of my team.
I'll just add one final thing to that. I'm not sure if it's not just in design, it's in every profession essentially. When you have a goal that you need to complete or something that needs to be done, in design in particular, nothing can really come in the way of that goal. Whether or not you have homework, you have other responsibilities, of course, but we realized that this was something that we were doing for a bigger cause than only ourselves, and regardless of what we were doing in our lives and what could have possibly gotten in the way, it is something that had to be done. And that's why we put so much effort and we kept on top of everything that we needed to ensure that when they needed this project, it would be completed on time.
Thanks, guys. And we need to wrap up, but did we have one more question in the back? Young lady in the glasses.
Hello. Hello. My name is Stephanie. I'm from University Relations. And my question is, what are the next steps to expanding this student design? Like in the future, are you planning on going outside of cyberspace and kind of expanding it a little bit more, maybe billboards or something like that?
Is that question to Greg and his team?
Yes, just everyone in general, the students and.
Sure. Well, I can initially answer that. You know, this campaign is something that will be rolling out into 2015 and potentially beyond. Our hope is that this visual graphic can play across multiple platforms. Yeah, potentially there could be posters, social media shareables, other kinds of advertisement, and print platforms for it, potentially outdoor. But I think the most important thing is that they delivered us a design that could play across multiple platforms and also has the DNA to be broken up into different kind of components depending on what we wanted to do. So, like, just for example, when we published our Congo Gold Jewelry Review, Congo Gold Jewelry Leaders Review, an associated product was the detailed report of the criteria and work and surveying that went behind it, a report called Going for Gold. And we used that graphic image as the cover for that report. So it continues to live in our social media, and I think that also of note is that some of the other designs that came out of this process were also really interesting, and we've already had conversations about how some of those might also live on in different kinds of forms as the campaign continues and expands and continues to hopefully impact broader communities as well as the gold jewelry industry that we're most specifically targeting.
And I think something that's really been exemplified in this conversation, obviously, is this notion of collaboration and teamwork. And along those lines, we are incredibly appreciative of the work that all of you guys have done. And we also look to you, we look to students all the time and young people and people who are kind of in this space for things that we can expand upon, as Greg was saying, this graphic is a great jumping off point and it's something that's already been used widely. But I think the fact that the graphic design students and the Human Rights Club students are already working on collaborating further on this project and on the conflict-free initiative, the CFCI conflict-free campus initiative and related projects, that is a really great indicator that I think there are more good things to come. And we are always open from our end to hear from you guys about things that you think might be an interesting campaign or an interesting addition to a campaign or something that you could take on your own campus that we could help publicize more broadly, because really some of the most innovative, as you can see, some of the most innovative designs and creations that we use here every day are things that come initially from students, especially. I work with our broader network of students across the country and internationally, and really some of the best campaigns that we've run have come out of ideas from students and young people like yourself. So please always feel free to reach out to us if you have ideas about collaboration or ways that you think our campaigns could be tweaked or made better, because we're always really open to hear those ideas.
Thank you. And you. Yeah.
Just one quick question.
Sure.
Sorry. This is for Greg, I believe, and his team. For those not gifted in design, how can they take part in the initiative or, support?
So now it's Rachel. Rachel can probably fill us in some more, but I think that Josh and Janine have one answer for you, right? And they'll talk with you right after we finish this press conference. But go ahead, Rachel.
Well, I think certainly, as Josh and Janine can elaborate upon, I think one of the most important ways to get involved is speak to other students on your campus, and to work within some of those existing networks. Certainly the Human Rights Club is a major part of the international efforts to work on these issues. And similar to that, as Annie mentioned, the Conflict-Free Campus Initiative program is another great way to get involved. There are a lot of things that can be done, from sort of small measures to large measures. So specifically on this jewelry campaign, a really easy thing to do is just get involved through social media, to start sort of publicly thinking and sharing the names of the companies who are taking a lead on this. what we're trying to do, and what I think the design students have been involved in helping us do, is to create some consumer demand for products that contain conflict-free gold from Congo, and to show that there's a wide range of support for this. And so getting involved through social media, through sharing with your friends and your family, and taking that step to sort of publicly encourage this movement is huge. We have networks of students across the country right now, and you can join in through writing letters to the editor, either for school papers or for local papers or larger ones as well. That's something that you can do. But I think finally, I'll just conclude by saying that as the design students, I think, demonstrated so powerfully, this movement and the work that everyone here in this room together is trying to do to bring an end to these atrocities is something that a wide range of skill sets is necessary for. And so whatever your passion might be, whatever sort of your own arena of expertise or experiences, chances are there's something that you can uniquely offer. And so I'd encourage anyone who's interested to get involved on your own campus, talk to those involved, and speak to us as well. You can reach out to us directly and share an idea, or even if you don't have an idea yet, talk about something that you're interested in or able to contribute, and we can brainstorm together on something specifically that might work for you.
Thank you, Rachel. So to finally wrap everything up, though it feels like our partners in Washington, D.C. are right here in the room with us, they can't actually physically reach out and present this really thoughtful gift that they sent over for our All-Stars, Dr. Farahi. So maybe Dr. Farahi will do the honors on your behalf.
Dear talented Kean University design team, the Enough Project would like to take a moment to tell you how very thankful we are for the great work you have done and for your enthusiasm for our mission. Everyone at Enough is very impressed by the quality and creativity of your designs. Your hard work and contributions are greatly appreciated. Thank you again, the Enough team, and there's a whole bunch of comments by everybody.
Can we present the award in front of the screen with the students and
There you
Professor
go.
Landa for a photo?
There you go.
No.
Greg, do you see it?
Can you stand in front?
For those that are not on video, like t-shirts.
Yeah.
Should we hold these too?
Sure, hold your t-shirts too.
Yours right there, Max.
Craig, tell John Pendergast he owes us big time. For Mickey to give up shopping to work on this project, that is a major sacrifice.
Picture of that. Bye.
So you're actually posing for stills right now, guys, for the photojournalists we have in the room.
1, 2, 3.
All right. Thank you so much, Washington team. We look forward to continuing to work with you and helping you in your very noble and important work. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Recording has stopped.
Oh, I forgot to say. I guess Fidel is gone too? It's okay. I just realized I didn't say anything